Hey guys, it's Elisa and we're back for season 1, episode 5. So our first word or phrase is "it's a shame."
It's such a shame that desire has nothing to do with talent.
So when you're saying something is a shame, well, hold on. First of all, Eden is so mean. Yeah, she is a mean girl. If you would like to know what a mean girl is, just watch Eden. Because in this episode and in the last episode, I think she is the epitome of what a mean girl is. And it's a shame. Anyway, okay, so when you're saying that something is a shame, you're saying, oh, that's too bad. That's disappointing. Oh, it's a shame. So there's a sadness, there's disappointment, there's pity. It's just like, oh, yeah. Kind of imagine like an athlete that first comes into the league and they have so much promise. They have so much potential. People think they're going to be great. They're going to be amazing. And they play their first game and they don't do so well. And you're like, well, they're just learning. It's going to be okay. But at some point, a few games in, halfway through the season, however long it takes, you kind of realize, they're never, ever, ever going to reach their full potential or what you thought it is they were going to be. Actually, they're kind of bad. And they're just not really going to contribute in the way you thought they were. They might not contribute at all. They're not going to help your team. They're not going to have a great career. They might not really have a career at all. And you're like, that's a shame. That is a shame. That is too bad. You're disappointed, but there's like a sadness to your disappointment because you had high hopes and they disappointed you. Not on purpose. They didn't do it on purpose. They could. Not in this situation with sports, but you could say it's a shame because someone has disappointed you on purpose. But there's definitely a sadness and a pity to this disappointment. Another sports reference. That's just what we're doing today, apparently. Imagine there's a really amazing player and they're doing so great. Maybe they've overachieved. But whatever it is, everyone thinks they're amazing. They're so incredible. Wow. You turn on the TV. You go to the games to watch them. And then they get this injury. And it just ruins their career. They're never the same after that happens. And you're like, oh, they were so good. It's such a shame. So you're disappointed and you're sad. Oh, they were great. It's not fair for their career to get ruined like that. Oh, it's a shame. It's like that. So whatever is happening, whether, just circumstances happen, an injury, or maybe you're just not as good as we thought you were. Or maybe you are really good, but you weren't focused and you were partying instead of doing what you were supposed to be doing. And then you just kind of spiraled downward. And that is also a shame. When something's a shame, you're not really mad at anybody. It just kind of happened. Now, someone can do this on purpose. Maybe someone has a really bright future. They have a lot of potential. They have a lot of things going for them. Like, you think their life's going to be really great, but they keep getting in their own way. They keep doing things and making bad choices and bad decisions. And then their life derails. It gets off course. It goes from being really good to being really bad. That's a shame too. So in this case, they did do it intentionally. It was their fault. But you're not really mad at them because you pity them. You're like, oh, yeah, that's too bad. That's a shame that they just kept making stupid choices. It's too bad. So you're disappointed, but there's a sadness to it. There's a pity to it. So there's not really anger when you say this. But in this scene, Eden is using this in a sarcastic way. So she is being mean, But that's because she's being selfish, because Eden is selfish. If you watch the show at all, you know that. You know this is how she is. So because she's using it in a sarcastic way, instead of you being disappointed and sad for the person or for you because you don't get to watch them if they're an athlete, or you don't get to see them reach their full potential if it's like your child or something, you're just angry and a little bit bitter. We're going to call Eden bitter in this case. And so it's like, it's a shame. And when she's saying it's a shame, she's basically saying, you should have chosen me. I would have been better. I was the best choice. And so this is just Eden being super rude and super mean, because that's how she is. So she's taking this phrase that's like, oh, that's too bad, and she's making it be like, attitude. That's a shame. Mean. And she's basically saying, I would have been better. So yeah, it's a shame you didn't choose me. I would have been better. That's really all she's saying, is I would have been better. So you can use it in the normal way, which is the first definition that I gave, or you can use it in the really mean, sarcastic way. But why would you do that? You guys wouldn't do that. But you can use it either way, and it is like a standalone phrase. It's not really used in a sentence. It is the sentence. You just use it in certain circumstances. So our next word is pretentious.
I hate to break it to you, but wanting to be a director doesn't mean that you are one. You're just a pretentious, mediocre little fanboy.
When you are pretentious, you are trying to seem better than you actually are. You're trying to, you're putting on airs. You're trying to seem richer or more beautiful or smarter or more talented than you really truly are. You may speak differently. And when you're doing this, you are kind of putting people down. I'm better than you. And so you're just trying to pretend that you're something that you're not. Maybe you're doing it because you're trying to fit in, so you're trying to seem like you're more than you are. Maybe if like you go to like a boarding school or a private school that has like a lot of wealthy kids that go there, maybe you're there on a scholarship. Maybe you're not so wealthy, but you try and pretend. I'm trying to pretend that I have more money than I do. I'm trying to pretend that I'm more cultured than I am. So you're trying to pretend. Well, you are pretending. You're pretending you are more than you are. You're better than you are. You have more talent, more money, more whatever. Better whatever it is. And you're kind of doing it so you can look down on people a little bit. So it's not a great thing for you, because that can't feel good to feel like you have to be more than you actually are. And you're probably not being super nice to people around you. So if you're doing it to try and fit in, you're probably being nice to the people you're trying to fit in with. But it probably also means that you're being mean to people that maybe you were friends with before, or, people that are beneath you because you're so great. So when you're being pretentious, it's negative. Pretentious is definitely a negative word. If someone calls you pretentious, or if you call someone pretentious, it's mean. It is not nice. It could be true. In this scene, it's not true. Eden, again, is so mean. I think Eden might actually be the one that is pretentious. So she's calling someone pretentious just to be mean. She's basically saying, you're not as talented as you think you are. You're not as talented as you pretend to be. You pretend to be this super talented person, but you're not. You pretend that your talent is here, but it's actually here. Because when you're pretentious, you're pretending to be more than you are. You're pretending to be more talented than you are. So when you call someone pretentious, you're saying you're pretending to be more talented than you are. You're not as talented as you're pretending to be. So it's not very nice. It's pretty mean, actually. All right, Eden's got more mean things to say. The next word is mediocre.
You're just a pretentious, mediocre little fanboy. And that's all you're ever gonna be. Mediocre being the key word.
So when something is mediocre, it is ordinary. It is normal. It's just in the middle. It's all right. It's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. It's fine. Mediocre is almost always used in a negative way. I have never heard mediocre be used in a positive or neutral way. It is a put down. You are basically, when you call someone or something mediocre, you're average. It's not normal in a good way. Like, yeah, we're all normal, or there is no normal. It's not that. It's like, you're just okay. So think about a sports team. Again, sports is the theme for this video. It just is. Sorry. So think about a sports team, and they're in the middle. So if there are 10 teams in the league or in the division, it is just right at number 5. Number 4, 5, or 6. Just those teams in the middle. They're not really very good. They're not terrible. I mean, they're not the worst teams. They're not going to win the championship. They're not going to win a title or a chip. They're gonna be like, I mean, you're not going to get excited when they're on TV. I mean, unless they're your team. But even then, you're going to be like, oh, we're mediocre. We're mediocre again this year. We're just a mediocre team. And that could be any kind of team. It could be a sports team. It could be like a mathlete team. Any kind of team. You can definitely call a person mediocre. I mean, Eden does. But it's mean. You're not saying you're an average student. That's like a neutral phrase. I don't know if anyone wants to be called an average student. But when you call someone a mediocre student, ooh, that's not nice. It means the same thing technically. You're calling them average, but you're doing it in a mean way. Being called mediocre is not nice. Calling someone mediocre is not nice. Yes, it means average. Yes, it means in the middle, but it's not nice. It's a mean word. I mean, you see Eden using it. She uses it correctly. She does not use it in a sarcastic way like the other phrase she used. This is exactly how you would call someone mediocre. You are giving them attitude. You're being mean. You are mean. Our next word is food chain phrase. It's a phrase.
I'm just sick of bullies.
But yeah, I've come to accept them as an inevitable part of the high school food chain.
Okay, so food chain means exactly what you learned it means in science class. So think of animals, we have prey, we have predators, so we have things that eat other animals, we have animals that get eaten, and there's kind of like levels to it. There's a hierarchy with it, and that's the food chain. So if you think of any ecosystem, you have the bottom of the food chain, which tends to be the smaller animals, although not necessarily. And then you have the top of the food chain, and these are the predators. These are the lions, the tigers, the bears. Oh my. And then you have all of the things that they eat. And then some of the things that they eat other things. And we just make our way down to the lowest part of the food chain. And when we talk about high school or middle school, even elementary school, even work, let's be honest. So when we talk about life, you kind of have levels. You kind of have a hierarchy in any sort of group of people. Now in a group of friends, the levels and the hierarchy is going to be much closer. You're not really going to have, a top and a bottom. But you do kind of have like the leader of the group, and then you do kind of have the person who tends to kind of go along with what everyone else says, and you kind of have people in the middle. And so in that case, you kind of have your own little food chain within a group. You have your own little hierarchy. You have your own levels of things. So if you kind of think of like your close group of friends, you know that kind of is true. So in this case, they're just talking about high school. So in high school, you have the people that are really popular at the top. You have the people that are nerds at the bottom. Sometimes later in life that flips and the nerds are ruling the world. But in this case, in high school, you have the popular kids at the top. Usually those are the athletes, the people that are very good looking. And then at the bottom, you have the people that are really smart, which is kind of funny because you go to school to learn. But usually at the bottom, you have the nerds, the mathletes, the people in the debate club. You have those people kind of at the bottom. And now sometimes you have the people at the top, the popular people who are really nice. And then you have sometimes, in this case, like they're talking about in this scene, they're not very nice. They don't treat people very well. Eden is at the top of the food chain. She is very popular, and that tells you a lot because we just talked about how mean Eden is. So, you know, Eden's at the top of the food chain. Kinsey is towards the bottom of the food chain. She's the new girl. She's not super popular. Tyler is at the top of the food chain. Actually, he plays hockey. He's an athlete. A lot of times athletes just end up being at the top of the food chain when it comes to high school and college. It's just what it is. And so, yeah, so in this case, they're just talking about kind of that hierarchy, those levels of where people all kind of, you know, fit in. And we have this with everything. We have this with countries. We have this with, you know, within society. You know, you have, you know, the wealthy, and then you have people who are super poor and live in poverty. So we kind of have that everywhere. We have that in every single country. And so you kind of have that hierarchy, those levels of things. You have levels of how much power people have. Sometimes it's not always the richest people that have power. That can kind of change. So when we're talking about food chains with people, it's often with groups. Within a group, you can be at the top of the food chain in one group, and then in your bigger food chain, maybe you're towards the middle or the bottom. So it just kind of changes, but it really is the exact same thing that you talk about in science class with animals, predators, and prey. And I was just thinking, hopefully it's not predators and prey with people. Hopefully you're not eating anybody. Don't eat people. Then it is that same thing where you have levels and hierarchy. All right, so this is our last scene for this video. And
Let's make her do something.
Here.
Well, I think that's enough. But there is a limit.
Hey, don't touch it.
Well, I thought that this was about getting back at her for what she said to me.
so getting back at her or getting back at someone, 2 steps to this process. First, someone has done something mean to you. Someone has done something mean, someone has done something wrong, and you're angry. So maybe it's 3 steps. So someone has done something wrong, something mean, you're angry, you're upset, and you want revenge. You want to hurt them. You want to make them feel bad. You want to make them be upset. You don't necessarily want to hurt them physically, but like if they made you sad, you want to make them sad. You are getting back at them. So someone has done something mean. They've hurt your feelings. They said something. I mean, you guys saw the way Eden behaves. She must hurt everybody's feelings. And now they want to hurt Eden. They have this opportunity to hurt Eden, to make her look silly, to embarrass her, to make her feel bad. And they want to do it. They want to get back at her. They want to get revenge. They want to make her feel the way that she made them feel. And that's all that means. So if you were going to use this in a sentence, you would say, this is our opportunity to get back at her. Oh, you guys, if we do this, we can get back at him for what he did to us. Or maybe this isn't good. Maybe someone broke up with you and you want to get back at them. So you're like, I'm going to show him. I'm going to get back at him or her. Either one. So you can use this anytime. You're basically saying, I'm going to get revenge. And you can pretty much use revenge and get back at someone interchangeably. So you can use one for the other just about every time. So our next phrase is now or never.
Kinsey,
She's getting up and cleaned up. It's now or never.
So now or never just means if you don't do it now, you won't be able to do it later. You've got to do it right now. You can't do it in 5 minutes. You can't do it in 2 minutes. You can't do it tomorrow or next week or next year. It's right now. So for whatever reason, this is the opportunity. It could be circumstances. So in this case, I think Eden was about to leave. And so if they didn't do it before she left, they weren't going to be able to do it. So you're going to have to do it right now decide. So usually in this case, when you're saying it's now or never, someone is unsure. They're not sure they're going to do it. They're still thinking about it. They're still contemplating. And someone else is like, it's now or never. So you're either going to do it right now or you're not going to do it at all. You could say this to yourself. Maybe you're pumping yourself up. You got to do something. It could be something good. It could be something bad like this. They're being mean. Whatever it is, but you're trying to pump yourself up and you're like, okay, all right, I'm going to do it. It's now or never. I'm going to do it now or I'm not going to do it ever. Go. So you're just trying to make yourself go right now. Do it. Whatever it is. It could be asking someone out on a date. It could be anything that you're just trying to like, come on, you can do it now or never. So you can say it to yourself, or you can say it to someone else. You're just trying to encourage someone to do it. And this is always used in an encouraging way. But again, you might be encouraging someone to do something that's not very nice, or you could be encouraging someone or yourself to do something that's amazing. It just depends on how you choose to use it. So the last phrase you hear is, this is messed up.
This is messed up. You guys are nuts.
So this is messed up just means this is wrong. This isn't right. This is not correct. So you could actually say that something is messed up, like physically. So let's say you are renovating your house and you are putting down new bathroom tile, and somehow one or more of the pieces of tile is crooked, and you're looking down and you're like, this is messed up. And you're just saying it's not right. Like, this is wrong. This doesn't look right. Maybe you draw a picture. Someone draws a picture of you, and maybe there's like a smudge on it that's not supposed to be there, and you're like, oh, this is messed up. Or maybe like you're packing, you're moving, and you open up one of your boxes and something is no longer correct. It's not broken. It's not broken. But maybe you had something and it shifted in a way where it's not broken, but it's no longer correct. It doesn't look the way that it looked before. And you're like, oh, this is messed up. This isn't right. This isn't correct. Now you can also use this for behavior like you see in this scene. So if your behavior is not right, you're doing the wrong thing. You know you're doing the wrong thing. You know you shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. This is not correct. This is messed up. And so that's what he's saying here. He's saying, you guys shouldn't be doing this. You know this isn't right. You know this is mean. You know this is wrong. This is messed up. This is a standalone phrase. It is its own sentence. So it's just the circumstances that you're using it. Whether physically you're looking at something and it's not correct, or your behavior, the situation is not correct. You can say, I know what I did was messed up. So maybe afterwards you've done something mean, you've done something wrong, and you're like, I know it was messed up. In that case, you're remorseful. You're sorry that you did something, but you did it, and it was messed up. All right, so that is it for our words and phrases from this episode of Lock and Key. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you can see all of the other videos as I have them coming out for the rest of this show, the rest of season 1 and season 2. All right, so that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.